What's up, YouTube? This is going to be your guide on how to use Blaziken in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section of the video. And if you enjoy these, if you find them helpful, drop a like on the video and let's get into it. So, Blaziken, we're doing some Gen 3 starters here. Blaziken has a extremely good ability with speed boost and it makes a nice physical sweeper. So firstly here we've got more of a single style set. So let's have a look at it. We have a speed boost as our ability and we've got Blaze. So most of the time you are definitely going to be picking a speed boost over Blaze. It's just better and it's a free speed boost every single turn. Now Blaziken can run pretty nicely with Sword Dance. Is a pretty common set that Blaziken can run, and it has fairly straightforward EV. So you can either run it as a max attack and max speed set with Jolly, or you can opt to go for Adamant. There is a little bit of a difference there, as in you might need 2 speed boosts if you run Adamant to outspeed pretty much everything, like your speedy Choice Scarf Pokemon. Whereas if you go Jolly, you generally only need 1 of them and you'll be outspeeding most Pokemon. There is a little bit of a difference between when you go Jolly and Adamant too in base power. There is a little bit, but I feel overall Jolly probably works the best, as in it allows you to outspeed Pokemon, and you can also always boost up your attack with Sword Dance. So Sword Dance is going to be the boosting move here. We've got Sword Dance Close Combat. Close Combat is its highest power move for fighting. We got Flare Blitz as well, which is a very, very nice fire move. The only bad thing about it, I find it does have that nasty recoil, so it won't last for long if you're using Flare Blitz a lot. There are a couple of options if you don't want to run Flare Blitz. We've got Temper Flare at 75 base power. It is a lot weaker though. And you've also got stuff like Fire Punch as well. So Fire Punch and Temper Flare. Apart from that, you've got Flare Blitz. You could technically have Terra Blast on there, but I don't know if you'd have Terra Blast Fire. I'd probably just stick with Flare Blitz. So its last move slot, I've got Terra Blast. Now, you can actually have a couple of different Terras with Blaziken that work pretty nicely. Close Combat and Flare Blitz hit most things. The only, there are a few counters that still, for example, let's say a Gyarados. That would be quite a nasty counter. So I thought it'd be interesting to give it Terra Blast Electric. That would give you a way to hit any water types or bulky water type Pokemon. That could be a definite way to get around that. Another one you could possibly do as well, I've seen, is Terra Dark. Terra Dark, it's more for like giving you a free setup. So you could have a opposing psychic type Pokemon. You could go Terra Dark, get that going, and then get a free Sword Dance up while they use a psychic move. So that'll give you a Sword Dance plus a speed boost, allowing you to outspeed them. Basically, you get a free speed boost and a free attack boost ×2. So it's going to be a very beneficial Terra there to go for. So you could definitely consider that. I'm trying to think of some other good ones here. I feel like they're probably the best. You could have Fire as well. I'm not saying you couldn't have Fire. You could have this, especially on a Sun team. That could be really, really good. But then you could do something like, you could get rid of that and go like Protect or something like that. Like I feel like Protect on Blaziken isn't really all that needed. If you play correctly, you don't have to use Protect. And you pretty much only need like 1, maybe 2 speed boosts at absolute most. And you should be able to get that if you play correctly and put Blaziken into the battle at the right time or against the right Pokemon, right? So that's why I have included Protect in there. I know some people like using Protect straight away to get a free speed boost. That's fair enough. I feel like if you play it correctly, you don't need to do that and you don't need to waste a move slot. Another option you could run could also be, you could also have, I'm thinking Terra Grass. That could be another option you could have then. Just opens up some more coverage. But yeah, I've run like quite a few of them. I like the Terra Dark. That works nice with Psychic. I don't mind Terra Electric as well. I feel like that's a good surprise. And yeah, I'd do something along those lines for Terra on it. It's going to be hitting very hard, and most of the time you're going to be using, I'd say, try and use close combat as much as possible. Now, The weakness mainly on Blaziken, I feel, is its lack of priority. That's always been its downfall, in my opinion. I have seen other people run these sort of sets. They're not that great though, with Focus Sash, and that they'll go like Protect, and they'll have Focus Sash and things like that, and that they might have something like Temper Flare or Fire Punch. Look, it gives you more speed boost, but the problem I found with it, it's left on only 1 health, and it's very easy just to pick it off with a priority move. And even though you've got all that speed, you don't have any priority moves. So that's why I feel like there's better items to run than Focus Sash, right? Heck, you could even have Citrus Berry. You could have Citrus Berry on there. That could help you a lot more than, say, Sash, right? Because that's going to help out a little bit when you go for Flare Blitz. So that could be another option. You've got Life Orb. Life Orb and Flare Blitz, you're not going to really be lasting for very long. You're just going to be blasting through like maybe 2 Pokemon or maybe 3 Pokemon. But outside of that, yeah, it's not going to last the whole game. But it might be really good just to bust through something, that's very, very tanky, right? I must admit, I do like having stuff like Terra Blast, Electric, or Grass in there, because especially like something like Gyarados, you're going to hit it for super effective, and stuff like Dondozo as well, that might be an issue, especially like really defensive walls. They can be an issue, or unaware and stuff like that. You have to be aware that you need some good coverage there. So you've got Grass, Electric, you could have Fighting on there as well. You could have Terra Fighting, Close Combat. That could work too. But yeah, there's a lot of different Terras you could probably, definitely run for Blaziken. So I've gone over quite a few of them there, and it's up to you whether you run on like Jolly or Adamant. Like, I feel like you could do Adamant, but you need, this might be like, Adamant might be the set to go for Protect on if you were going to run Protect. If you got Jolly, I would not run Protect at all. I feel like it's a waste. In doubles, though, it's a little bit different, right? So you can get away with that. This is definitely more geared towards a single set. All right, let's have a look at some more strategies here. So I've got a 1 HP sweeper. Now, bear in mind, this can be shut down just the way that I was talking about before, by priority Pokemon moves. So on your team, you want to have anything to get rid of priority. You can have Psychic Terrain. That's not too bad as well. If you've got like a Psychic Terrain Pokemon on your team, that can block priority, or just get rid of the priority Pokemon on the opponent's team. And they're pretty easy to pick. What they've got and stuff like that. So I would not send this out until you know for a fact that the opponent doesn't have any priority moves. It's much more gimmicky, but it hits very, very hard. So similar sort of setup here. We've got Adamant Nature, Speed, EVs, of course, max speed. This one's got Sword Dance, of course, but we've got Reversal. So what we're doing is we're deliberately putting ourselves onto 1 health, or as low a health as humanly possible. And, with the base power of Reversal, it's going to be like super, super massive, right? It's going to be like 200 base power. And then we have like Acrobatics as well. So that gives us a way to hit pretty much everything. So Reversal, it's everything, and then you've got Acrobatics as well. They're the other like Ghost and things like that. So yes, if you also, you can play around with Endure as well to get a weakness policy. And Blaziken is weak to quite a few things, so it shouldn't be too hard to bait out a super effective move. Now, the Terra type I've given that is Terra type Fighting, and Reversal is going to be absolutely it's going to be super powerful. So there's not going to be a lot of things that actually are able to live that, unless they've got Sturdy, Sash, or even really defensive Pokemon are going to get dropped after a Sword Dance or a weakness policy. They'd have to probably Terra into like Terra Fairy or something like that to resist that. But that's another way you can run Blaziken. It's a lot more gimmicky, but there are ways to still make it successful, but more gimmicky than the Sword Dance, the basic Sword Dance speed boosting set. Let's have a look at some doubles and VGC play here. This runs pretty similar to the singles one, but it's a little bit different. I've included a different move here and different items. So same sort of EV spread. I wouldn't muck around with giving any other different EVs than that, trying to survive hits and things like that. I think that's a waste of time. This is just a straight up offensive Pokemon, speedy offensive Pokemon. It's hyper offensive, so I think it runs the best that way. So we've got Adamant Nature. I would put that on there because you can easily go Protect first turn, and it's beneficial to go Protect because you can see what the opponent's going to do. They may have fake out Pokemon. They may they may do a lot of things. So Protect is always useful, and it's going to benefit you, giving you a speed boost. Obviously, you're going to keep its 2 main stab moves, Close Combat and Flare Blitz. However, I'm going to be giving this one Rock Slide. I feel like Rock Slide is definitely worth mentioning here. It gives you a little bit more coverage, and it's also very good in doubles because you can hit both the opponents, right? I've given it Clear Amulet, so it's going to prevent any stat drops, which is going to be bad for Blaziken. It needs all the attack it can get, especially if you don't have anything like Sword Dance or a way to boost its attack, right? So we got that on there. And I've got Terra Rock as well. So Terra Rock is there for Rock Slide. So after a couple of speed boosts, you're going to be outspeeding absolutely everything. And with Adam Nature, you're going to make sure you're hitting as hard as possible with Rock Slide. And you've also got a chance of flinching too. So not a bad set, I would say, for doubles. Give that one a go. Another one you could give for items. I could see Focus Sash working as well. Focus Sash is always a very good item in doubles for Blaziken's quite frail as well. It's not going to be living hit, so that could work too. The only thing I like is about Clear Amulet is you could have you could prevent that stat loss, right? So, and that's quite important with the Intimidate Pokemon and such like that. So that's why I ran Clear Amulet, so you can sort of make up your choice there depending on what's your team. You could even have another ally Pokemon using Helping Hand and stuff while you're using Rock Slide, to increase the power even more. Now, some Pokemon that I would give as good partners. I'm just going to delete this set for a sec. So let's say with this set here, right, or anything along those lines of movesets, some good partners for it, and a great partner I would suggest would be Raging Bolt. As I mentioned before, this Pokemon, Blaziken, lacks a lot of priority. So this gets around quite a few of its counters, right? And it also has its own priority as well, which is going to be super, super handy getting rid of that. And any chip damage it has to do or finish a Pokemon off, it can use Thunderclap, so it's definitely a good typing for sure. And water Pokemon and such like that, so they work very well together, like Raging Bolt. If you want to check out a Raging Bolt guide, I've already done that. Another one I would suggest, just when I'm coming to think of it now, Gyarados isn't bad. I was talking about Gyarados being quite a good counter for it. It's also a good partner for it as well with its typing. You've got water and flying typing, and that's going to get rid of a lot of the encounters, your counters. And also, if you're running Intimidate set, that's going to help Blaziken too. Be able to live hits better because it's not very bulky, at all, and they're going to work very, very nicely together. I'm just thinking of some other Pokemon we got here. So it is weak to. Let's bring up. How about? I'm just thinking Steel types here. How about Excadrill isn't all that bad either. If you're, I'm just thinking of Steel types that couldn't be. That's actually not too bad. And getting around some of those counters too. There's actually quite a few Pokemon that Blaziken can work very, very well with. Rillaboom would be another good one too. I'm just sort of thinking some of these on the spot here. So you've got Rillaboom. As I said, there's quite a few Pokemon that Blaziken can work well with. For sure. So there's a couple of examples there. As I said, any priority moves are going to absolutely destroy Blaziken for sure. And this is why I put Clear Amulet on there. Say for example in a doubles battle, right? If you had Sash, let's say you had Focus Sash for an example, well the opponent could go Fake Out and then break your Sash, and then the other Pokemon could one shot you because it's not very bulky, and that would be in your Blaziken then. So that's kind of why I run Clear Amulet, and why a lot of other Pokemon can run that item well too. But yeah, that's sort of my thought process about Blaziken in doubles. There's not too much else you could really run on it in doubles. I'm trying to think of some other options just on the top of my head here, for other options for Terra and things like that. I don't know. I like that one though. I really do quite like that one the best. Yeah, you've got other things like Brave Bird and stuff like that. I think they're more gimmicky. Unless there's a real rise in a Pokemon that's weak to flying, you could obviously possibly get rid of that. and teach it another move. It does get quick attack too. That is a priority move. It does get. There's one. I don't think there's a lot of point putting it on there, but if you want a priority move, it does have that. And special, I think it's got vacuum wave. So there's another priority it does have, but it doesn't have any. Let me put it another way. It doesn't have any good priority moves. It doesn't have a priority. It doesn't have a Mac punch. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, there's a big difference there in having a real useful priority one that's just kind of weak. But yeah, that's another way you could run it. If you don't like, you got Blaze Kick as well. I forgot to actually mention that. So Blaze Kick is an alternative to Flare Blitz as well. It's got more power. It's got more base power than Fire Punch and Temper Flare. The only bad thing about it is it's not 100% accurate. So that's something if you want to consider too, if you don't like that recoil, whether you're playing singles, doubles, casual, whatever, right? So that's another one you can look at there. It does get, it does get Earthquake too. If you want like a sort of a spread move there to hit both the opponents, but I don't know. Like I don't think it's all that good on Blaziken. I've used it before. I wasn't finding I was using it enough to make it worth it. So yeah, I sort of kept with this set here, and I found that pretty effective for Blaziken. I'm not saying it's the greatest Pokemon in doubles, but it can still leave a dent on the opponent's team. Another one you could do as well, if you really want to boost your attack, you can always go Sword Dance too. Maybe if you had something like, let's say Among Us. I have to mention Among Us as a partner too. Let's say you had something like a Rage Powered Among Us that could take the heat off Blaziken, pardon the pun there, for a turn. You might be able to get a Sword Dance up and then roll from there. So that's another option you could have as well. A good counter is, I can say, counters, Gyarados, bulky water Pokemon, especially Dondozo. Dondozo is such a good counter to like a lot of Pokemon. So, yep, that's some teammates and some counters and some more information. I've got a couple of other sets here I made up. So, I know a lot of people that do play like Smogon rules and other stuff like that. I know that you have baton passing clauses and stuff like that, but if you are looking at Blaziken for like baton pass, it's actually a very good baton passer, not only for the moves it knows, but its ability too. So you could even have it as a pure baton passer if you wanted to, or not. So we've got Protect and Sword Dance, so you get an easy speed boost from one Protect, and then you get a Sword Dance. You can go Protect again, so you could potentially pass on a +2 in speed and Sword Dance. So really effective. Can also pass on a sub, which is really good as well. And you could also just baton pass those stats off. So you find yourself in a matchup where you think, I could easily pass a Sword Dance on. Even 2 Sword Dances, you could absolutely do that. So that's another way. Very, very powerful baton passing Pokemon though. With Sword Dance and Speed Boost is insane. It's like Ninjas, basically, another very powerful Pokemon. But yeah, depending on what rule set you're playing, by the way. So I open these movesets for every sort of rule set, Anyway, let's have a look at another set here. So, this is a Pip Night special. This set is actually really decent, but it's a high risk, high reward set. I made this up years and years ago, and I've had some very, very good success with it, and of course I've had some failures with it as well. But it drops super hard. So we're not looking at most people are going to look at its attack stat and think, not even consider the special side. But its special is still 110 base, right? So I've given this one max special attack modest nature. You really need modest. And I've given it speed boost and the rest in speed. Because, we can always make up the speed, right? We can't make up any more special attack. So it does get focus energy, which is pretty interesting. And it also gets scope lens. So you can have a critting set. Now, I noticed it had Overeat as a special move. Now, that's got 130 base power, which is really, really high. And with the critting, you can keep critting and critting and critting, and you don't have to worry about Overeat's drop in special attack. And this hits super duper hard. Super hard, right? And you've got Focus Blast as well, which has very, very good power, base power, and stab as well. So they're risky moves. Like Overeat is not 100% accuracy. It's 90, which is pretty good, and Focus Miss is kind of terrible. But if you try and use Overeat as much as you can, it's going to be good, and you don't have to worry about any stat drops. Now, a fun other move you can put on this, I've sort of tweaked this a little bit for the new Stellar. I don't normally include Stellar on my moveset because I feel like Stellar is terrible, but it's good on a couple of Pokemon and gimmicks and stuff, but it's few and far in between. But in this case, I thought it'd be interesting to include it on Blaziken because you've actually got a critting set. You're not gonna, you're not actually gonna have a way to hit other Terra Pokemon for super effective. Like, say if they have a type that's resistant to these moves, or you worry about missing, or you predict them they're going to go for a Terra, right? You know, so as their last Pokemon, you know, oh, well, they're definitely going to go for a Terra here. You can predict that, right? And you can also use the Stellar type Terra Blast, and you're not going to have any, you get those stat drops, but it's not going to matter, right? Because you've got 100% crit. So another cool sort of way to use this special Blaziken set. I know it's not as good as the physical one, and as, you know, it's not as steady as it. You know, the physical one's very good, and you can get good results out of it pretty quickly. But, you know, one focus energy and one speed boost, you can sort of, like, I've like absolutely destroyed teams with this set before. And then other times I've missed every move, you know. So it's one of those sort of sets, but it is pretty fun to use, and it's absolutely amazing when it works, right? Another good Pokemon, I forgot, I don't know why I didn't even mention this. Another good Pokemon that works with Blaziken too, especially if you're using a Sun team, of course, is Torkoal. That's another good one too. And then you've got stuff like Ninetales here, you know, Ninetales. You got Drought there. That's another good one, depending on what you're using this in. Groudon, you've got Drought as well if you're playing, like, you know, with legendaries or Ubers or whatever sort of rule set you're playing with. That's another good partner too, just to set the sun up. And, you know, any extra sun is very, very powerful on, you know, any of its, like, Flare Blitz, or if you're running like a special one, you know, you can use that Ovid on there. But anyway, some cool sets there for you to consider. Lastly, we got a Pimp Night special here, and this is another special set. So it's definitely not as potent in base power as that critting one, but it's a little bit more steady, as in you can probably land moves a lot easier, right? There's not as much risk involved. So we're looking at I like to go over memes too, and you know, competitive sets and memes, of course. So this one's max special attack and max speed, modest nature. Same EVs as a special one. However, this time we've got Heat Rock, and we're going to extend out that Sunny Day. We're setting our own Sunny Day up. We're setting that out to 8 turns. Now, you could possibly do this with another Pokemon, no worries, but, you know, for the purposes of this video, I'll do Sunny Day on the Blaziken. And we've got Fire Blast, Solar Beam, Terra Grass. That's going to drop really hard and, you know, get around a few of Blaziken's counters. And we've got Focus Blast as well. So making use of that Blaze. And, you know, Blaze Fire Blast is going to do a lot in the sun. Like, it's not going to tickle, put it that way. And then you've got the, I know you don't have any, like, speed boosts and stuff, so you could opt for speed boost if you wanted to. But yeah, maybe a little bit of web support or something might be needed if you're running Blaze, but just put on speed boost anyway if you're worried about that. So there's some Blaziken sets for you all. I think they were, I'd say this sort of set you're going to be seeing the most. You know, whatever the Terra is going to be dark. You know, I don't mind electric. I found electric to be quite a nice surprise. I found dark to be pretty solid at getting, especially against psychic types, pretty solid at getting a free sword then. So yeah, there's those ones. So you could even go for like Terra Water if you wanted to too. That could be interesting against other water Pokemon. That could be another option. But yeah, a very, very frail physical sweeper, but extremely potent at getting like a quick boost, you know, in its attack and speed, and you could quickly sweepy late game if you do not have any priority moves and such like that. Let's have a look at the rest of the moves that it gets and some final sort of thoughts here. So let's bring up its status move. So it gets agility. I don't know if you'd ever want agility unless you're baton passing it. Yeah, it does get bulk up too. I've seen a couple of bulk up variants. They're still pretty good, but they're not, you know, it's a slower version of Sword Dance. Like, if you're running bulk up, you're sort of just doing gimmicks, right? You just might want to give it a bit of extra bulk or something like that. Curse, I don't think you need Curse on there unless you're, I don't know why you'd be running Curse on there. You could have some sort of gimmicky set, I don't know, with White Herb or something. Detect, Protect, they're very good in doubles. In singles, I feel like you don't need Protect. I think you just have to learn how to use Blaziken properly, and then I feel like you won't need those two moves, right? You can free yourself up for an entire move slot. Like, bring it in on something passive, right? Or bring it in on something you know can't do anything. Don't like lead with it with a Focus Sash. Like, that's generally I feel like that's the worst, you know, way to play it. Play it like mid to late game and get a sweep when you know what the opponent's got. You know what moves they're running. Maybe they've blown their Terra already. play it that way. It's going to be much better than putting it at the start. You might get lucky in a few battles where the opponent's not really prepared and doesn't have priority. It might work that way, or you're scared of stealth rock and things like that. You could put boots on it, like heavy duty boots on it as well. That's another item if you worry about that. Anyway, I digress. So we got rest. No, raw, sleep, talk. You got Will-O-Wisp. I don't think you can fit Will-O-Wisp on there. For doubles, it does get coaching, which is interesting. I don't really see... I see it as a hyper-offensive Pokemon, not really a support Pokemon, but that could be an interesting last slot you put on there, possibly. Same with probably not Helping Hand, but yeah, it could be interesting last slot. Probably not, though. I'd run it hyper-offensive, like, if we're talking serious here. And yeah, let's have a look at its physical moves. So... we got Acrobatics and Blaze Kick. We talked about Acrobatics with that 1 HP set. Blaze Kick, we talked about that, picking that over Flare Blitz. There is a big difference in base power, but you don't have a nasty recall, but you do have a chance of missing. There is a critical chance there, but I wouldn't even take that into account. And most fire moves burn anyway. You got Brave Bird. It's hard to fit Brave Bird on there, to be honest. And then you've got like Close Combat's your best fighting move there. I wouldn't really muck around with anything else. Knockoff isn't a bad filler move too. That's not all that bad. You can use that for Psychic type Pokemon. Not bad at all. You can go Terra Knockoff if you want to. Instead of Terra Blast, you could get that. You'll get that extra bit of base power then with the item removal too. But yeah, you could use that. Last resort, Low Kick. Low Kick's kind of like, nah, I wouldn't bother with Low Kick. Yeah, there is Thunder Punch too if you want to go for, like, you're probably better off just going Terra Blast Electric, and I don't know why you'd want to run U-Turn 4 on there. That's probably not going to be any good. But yeah, you've got like a bunch of other moves here, like they're not really moves you're going to be using. Oh, it's got Upper Hand. Like, that's a really gimmicky move though. You might be able to, you could. I was thinking, right? I was thinking about this. On this, where's that 1 HP? Oh, that 1 HP set I made? I was thinking about sliding Upper Hand onto there. Like, as you could have like Reversal and then Upper Hand, but I couldn't really fit it on the set. I was like, Sword Dance, Reversal, Upper Hand, and they had Endure. So maybe you could get rid of Endure and give it Sash, and then give it like another move, like I don't know, like Acrobatics. That could work too. So that way you can get around those priority moves. That could work too. That's another way. But man, it's gimmicky, and you got to be very, very good at predicting. So there you go, another move you can look at. And we had to sort of look at all those physical moves, didn't we? Yeah, we did. And as for its special moves, I know not many people are interested in its special moves, but I'll have to look at it anyway. It's pretty barren. You do have a little bit more accurate special move of Aura Sphere. It's very weak though, and that's why I went for power on the special set. So it's a good. It's definitely a good surprise that special one that I did. This one is a good surprise set, but if it can go wrong, it can go really, really badly wrong. That's all, and it can be walled too with really bulky Pokemon or any Pokemon that can prevent crits and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I've done a pretty thorough job there on Blaziken. I hope you found this informative. If you got any movesets or things you'd like to add to that too that you use that are a little bit, maybe a bit different to what I've done, or anything to add, please leave it below in the comment section. And if there's a Pokemon you want to see me cover, put it below too. I'm trying to go for the ones that people are most interested, because I know there's a lot of Pokemon to cover, but if we get a lot of people saying, like, I want a particular Pokemon, I'll absolutely consider that. At the moment, I'm just finishing off these final evolutions, like these starter Pokemon, and then I'll start on some other ones and such. There should be another starter up a little bit later on. I think we're going to cover Swampert, and we might do Sceptile the next week. All right, people. Peace out.